Today we're going to be keeping away from reptiles for this episode and talking all about these beautiful mammals. These are ferrets. Ferrets are a domesticated mustelid. Mustelids are animals that include mammals like the wolverine, badgers, and otters as well. Now these guys have been domesticated since ancient times. The original purpose for their domestication was probably for sports. These guys were used often during the medieval times to do a sport called rabbiting, where they would actually go into rabbit dens and flush out rabbits for hunters. Now, if you want your very own kind of ferret like these mischievous little guys, here are a couple of quick tips that can help you along your ferret journey. Young ferrets are typically referred to as kits, and during this stage they can be very nippy. Now, this isn't due to any kind of aggressive behavior or anything like that. It's just the babies, and even the adults in some cases, are trying to learn more about the world around them. And they do this by using their mouths. Another really cool thing to keep in mind too is that our ferrets here at Predators are descented and desexed as well. But despite that, they do have quite an interesting aroma. So ferrets actually produce a kind of oil that helps clean their fur. There's a common myth that you can stop this from happening, or stop that kind of weird ferrety smell from happening, by continuously washing them. That's actually just a myth. They should not be washed constantly all the time, as it can actually cause bad skin care, and they can actually even produce more oil. So if you're considering getting a ferret, just remember that that oily, ferrety smell is going to be a constant with these guys. For enclosures, we usually recommend a large 2-story enclosure. That way they have plenty of room to move around. We also recommend that if you're going to buy a ferret, I would recommend actually getting 2 ferrets, or at least maybe more than one, because these guys actually benefit with other ferrets around, as it helps provide mental stimulation, companionship, and opportunities to play, which these guys will do a lot of. Now, speaking of play too, we usually recommend maybe constructing some kind of playpen around your ferret's enclosure. That way, if you are supervising them at all times, you can check them out and let them kind of play around in their little playpen. Provide lots of toys for them to kind of chew on and roll around in. These guys have boundless amounts of energy, and they really need to find a way to kind of release it. Now, for food, there's 2 different options that you can use for food with ferrets. You can use a pellet diet, or you can actually feed them raw meat. Raw meat is preferred. If you get a ferret, for example, that's been fed mostly a pellet diet, you can actually integrate smaller bits of like raw meat with the pellets every once in a while, and gradually move up to a mostly raw meat diet, which is better for these guys overall health-wise. When picking out an enclosure for your ferret, you never want to go with a hutch. There's just inadequate space in a hutch for ferrets. You're going to want a 2-story large enclosure that'll have plenty of space for them to move around and be active and do what ferrets do. Now, for a feeding schedule, what you're going to want to do is feed very small meals, about 6 to 8 times a day. So that way they almost always kind of had food in their food bowl for them, and they can kind of pick and eat at that all day, essentially. If you want your very own ferret, come check us out. We're located on Baseline in Pennington. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we both hope to see you soon.